sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes here live on this Sunday morning with my man Post Game of the Post Game Podcast here for another edition of Talking Sports Sunday. I'm glad to have him here with me this morning. How you feeling, Post Game?
Hey man, I feel good, and the Midwest got something to say.
The Midwest definitely got something to say. Yesterday we talked a little bit of college football, went through some schedules and stuff. So if you didn't have a chance to catch our video yesterday, go to any one of these channels and you can find it. You can go to Post Games Podcast and find it. You can go to Level Up Sports 10's podcast and find it. You can also go to WTP Sports Dudes to find it. And you can go to FanDuel Zaya, my man FanDuel Zaya. You can go to his podcast and find it as well. I'm rocking his shirt this morning in support of him. I don't know if he's gonna make it this morning, but if he does, I'm rocking his shirt so he know I support him all the way. We also got our man Wiz in there with us this morning in the chat. I'm glad to see you in there, Wiz. That's post games pops. So let's go ahead and get into some of this action, man, and see what we can find out about this thing that went down with Marcus Smart yesterday. What do you think is the reasoning behind Marcus Smart going to the Lakers? Good move, bad move, or okay move?
Oh man, I think the Lakers want to get defensive at guard. They have a few liabilities. Uh, but the thing is, I don't know if Marcus Smart is the same player. The last few years, he's really been injured the majority of the seasons. He doesn't have that same impact he did when he won Defensive Player of the Year with the Celtics. So I think the Lakers are hoping that they can revive a player like Marcus Smart and turn him back, get him back into rare form. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. We'll see. But I think with the money, it was a okay move. They didn't have to spend a lot. And if he can resurrect his career, that can move up to a great pickup.
Yeah, I'm glad that they picked him up for that very reason that he's going to at least play you some defense. Um, of course, he hasn't been playing very much the last couple of years. He do need to revive his career. This is a good place for him to go at least because they didn't like they need him to log hundreds of minutes. You know, they can put him out there as needed and allow him to get back into form. They definitely need a backcourt guy who can play some defense, and I think that's what he is his claim to fame when he first came into the league. Then he started knocking down some threes. So I think if he can do that for the Lakers, it still is only going to be an okay move because of where he is in his career. But I'm glad to see him go there from where he came from. I think he has a chance to do something to help the Lakers, at least defensively anyway. Will said it's a good move, can't hurt from what they had. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you on that too. It can't hurt from what they had for sure.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah. Dame Lillard returns to Portland. Are there any stories behind his return to the Timberwolves, to the Trailblazers? I mean,
I haven't heard any stories myself. I was really shocked that he returned to the Portland Trailblazers. Only because I don't think Portland has any chance of winning anytime soon. I thought this move was based on, how comfortable he was in Portland. Maybe he has a lot of family and friends there still. He's familiar with the organization. He had a lot of success there. I don't know if Damian Lillard will be the same player coming off the injury. And, he's getting up there in age. He already has started to trend downward before the injury. So this signing was a head scratcher to me. I thought he could have went somewhere else if he wanted, if it was about winning. But obviously, it's not about winning when it comes to Dame Dollars. So, uh, any stories I haven't heard, but a head scratcher for me.
Yeah, I haven't heard any stories as well, but I agree with you. It's definitely a head scratcher because I'm like, you left Portland to go and try to get to a championship, and now you want to go back to Portland where you know it's not going to happen at all. Like it just didn't make any sense to me. I'm quite sure there was many destinations that he possibly could have looked at outside of Portland. I don't understand why he did it. Maybe he wants to end his career where he started his career. That's the only thing I could think of when it came to this move back to Portland. But I guess we'll wait and see what happens. I hope he doesn't become a journeyman like he go to Portland for 2 more years and then end up somewhere else and just be getting passed around for the next 6, 8 years. Hopefully he can stick and stay there in Portland and go ahead and end his career where he started.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You right, Wiz. He ain't trying to win no shit. That's for sure. No chip. He ain't trying to win now whatsoever. Going back to Portland. Paul George rips the Hornets for lack of winning culture. How do you feel about the thoughts on Charlotte? His thoughts on Charlotte.
Well, I think right message, wrong messenger. Uh, I think he's correct. I can't even remember, during my lifetime, a time where Charlotte was really in contention. Maybe when they had talk about years and years ago with Alonzo and Glenn Rice, Anthony Mason, and those guys. But it's been a very long time since Charlotte has been a threat. So they deserve to be ripped. But Paul George needs to be in the gym and not sitting in front of a microphone because his career has been very disappointing. So, uh, like I say, he's right for ripping them. It's just the wrong person ripping them.
Yeah, 10 years ago, maybe he could be talking like this, but at the way he's playing in the maybe the last 5 to 7, he's in no position to be ripping anybody about anything. So hopefully, Charlotte can right that shit, man. They had an opportunity when they had Morning and Mason and Glenn Rice to really get that organization going in the right direction. I think the NBA should be trying to find a way to help Charlotte be relevant. It's a really nice city, man. It's a really, really nice city. I don't see why anybody wouldn't want to live and play in Charlotte because, like I said, it's a really nice city. Um, but somehow it's going to have to get fixed because you want every NBA team to be relevant, to have a good squad, to have good coaching, to have a good organization. They need to fix some things because there's definitely something wrong with the culture there in Charlotte for sure.
Yeah, and it's not like, I really like LaMelo Ball, although he has struggled with his health. I think he's a really talented player, and they can build something special around him if he stays healthy. That is yet to be seen. But LaMelo Ball has a lot of skill, a lot of talent, and he's a great player to lead that franchise. They just got to get themselves together.
Yeah, they definitely need to do that for sure. Let's switch pace and go over to the WNBA. What's your thoughts on the WNBA players wearing the shirts? Pay us what you owe us. What's your thoughts behind that?
Oh man, where do I start? I listen. I'm all for the ladies getting a pay increase. I think they deserve that. Although we can talk about the finances of the WNBA, uh, and the finances of the WNBA doesn't call for a pay increase. But still, I think they deserve one, and I think they're going to get one. The problem I have is with the wording, pay us what you owe us, because I don't like when people steal something, and I don't want to get political, but from the black struggle, foundational black American struggle, I think that's a shirt for us. But anyway, outside of that, again, I don't have an issue with the ladies wanting a pay increase, because I think they deserve a pay increase. But I don't think they're going to be getting paid like NBA players. I don't think they're going to get $50 million contracts, 30, $20 million contracts, but they'll get a nice increase. It just won't be what people think, in my opinion, because I don't know how they could afford contracts like that.
Mhm.
Because viewership needs to continue to increase. Support for the women's game needs to increase, and I don't think they've done all they can do to increase support from the people when it comes to the WNBA. So I understand, the movement. I understand the ladies and their voices and what they're trying to accomplish. But pay us what you owe us. That was a little too steep for me.
Yeah, I agree with you that slogan is not one that they should have used for sure. It pertains to something totally bigger than some NBA, WNBA basketball for sure. So I agree with you on that point. I'm glad you brought that up. I agree that they should get a pay increase. I do. How much? I mean, we it can't be a whole lot much because it's not bringing in the kind of money that will warrant them getting, like you said, a $50 million contract. I don't even if it warrants them getting, you know, a $5 million contract per year, or anything like that. So I think what they really need to focus on is, yeah, continue to talk about the fact that we need to be paid more, but at the same time, you got to grow the brand. You got to put some boots on the ground. And you everywhere you go in this country and in other countries, you need to be talking about, listen, we are underpaid for what we do out there on that basketball court. We need your support. We need you to come. We need you to watch our games. We need you to boost our ratings when you can't come to a game physically. We need you to be in the seats if you can come physically. We need you to do all those things so that we can bring in the kind of money that can get these players paid what they deserve. But they got to be their own spokesperson. It can't be, I'm going to wear a t shirt only. It can't stop there. It got to be constantly saying things. And I know they're doing some other things as well, but it got to be constant. Off season, during the season, you got to constantly be trying to grow this WNBA brand so that it can get to the point where it's bringing in the kind of money that can get you to raise in the revenue that you want to get. But it's really on the players and those teams and those organizations' shoulders to sell it to us, the consumer, to be able to get that revenue that they want. You got to sell it to us. Otherwise, you're going to be in the same position because nobody's going to hand you money that's not there.
Yeah, and they took a step in the right direction, getting private flights the other season. They just need to continue to build on that, and like I've said in past streams, there's some really talented women coming down the pipe when it comes to the WNBA drives in the next few years. So they just got to continue to build on that, and continue to have unity, and stand on their truths, and they'll be fine. Yeah, like you said, they won't make millions. I don't think the money is there for that, but they definitely deserve a pay increase.
Yeah, for sure. Let's stay in that same area topic. Should WNBA players receive a pay increase and revenue sharing? We already discussed the pay increase part of it, but should they receive revenue sharing?
Revenue sharing based on what? Like the NBA, the NBA
Like
revenues, or break that down for me.
it's going to have to be based on what is coming into the WNBA, as far as the ownership and all that. Should they be getting a little bit bigger piece of the revenue that's coming into ownership into the organization? Which I
I
don't know if that's even much.
yeah, that it's hard because, like you said, we don't know how much that is. Ideally, yeah, if I'm a player, if one of the ladies, you would think they would want revenue sharing, but it's hard to say because we don't know what that number is based off of. And we hear that they're in the red every season, so it's really hard to dissect that.
Yeah, I know that if I was a company that was selling products that was women based, I would definitely. I mean, like you see in college players getting NIL deals, I would definitely be looking for somebody to push my brand. For me, that's in the WNBA, to help them increase their pay. I mean, it'll be an endorsement type thing, but anyway, they're gonna be getting more money than what they normally would be getting paid from being a WNBA player. So if I was one of those corporations or companies, I would definitely be seeking out somebody from the WNBA or even multiple people from the WNBA on the player side of things to help push my brand for me. Um, and I think we got to get to the point where business is not so ownership trying to keep all the money they can. You got to get to the point where you're helping others out. That's going to keep your brand relevant. If you just want to keep getting all the money, and you paying your CEO millions and millions of dollars, and you ain't paying the bottom line people very much, you got to get away from that mindset. I know capitalism runs this country, but at some point, you got to start thinking about the people who allow you to have the money because they're the ones that's spending their money in order for you to even have some capitalism. So I think that I would like to see it go in that direction where some of these WNBA players will go and start seeking out companies that they know cater to women, and try to get them to get endorsements from them so that they can increase their money that way. They got to do their part as well. They can't just expect it to come from them going into a stadium or an arena playing basketball, ticket sales, and think that there's going to be an overwhelming amount of money there, because it's not. So they're going
Yeah,
to have to find a way to uh, find a way for them to pay themselves sometimes in some instances.
yeah, I agree with that. They and I've said this before, man. I think women need to really, if women tuned into the WNBA like they were supposed to, and I'm not telling anybody what they have to watch and what they don't have to watch. I'm just saying, if women supported the WNBA, they'll be all right. I think, and it's hard. A lot of women don't like sports, or at least, WNBA sports. But if they supported the WNBA like they did football, or whatever show they like to watch, the WNBA would be in a lot better shape.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes you gotta change some things yourself in order to benefit somebody else. So I definitely agree with you on that one. Give me your thoughts on the NBA All Star, I mean WNBA All Star game that took place yesterday. Did you get a chance to watch it? I didn't, so I ain't got nothing to add to that.
Yeah, Rob. I'm gonna be brutally honest with the people. This was the worst WNBA All Star game I've ever seen in my life. It turned out to be a 3 point shooting contest, which was terrible for the game. It was not competitive. I guess they added a 4 point line sponsored by AT&T, which is every 4 pointer you hit. I guess they donated to a charity, and it was terrible. I was watching it with my daughters, and I really didn't want them to see that brand of basketball. I thought we were getting something else where you didn't see anything, but they were hoisting 3 pointers from the start of the game to the end, just hoisting. I was like, this is unbelievable. I couldn't believe that the game has come to this. It looked at like the NBA All Star Game, and in years past, it was a lot more competitive. You got to see an arsenal of move, different play styles. Low post, just like I say, low post, mid and high, sprinkled in with some 3 point shooting. But Rob, that was ridiculous, and I'm glad you didn't put yourself through that and watch the game. I was very disappointed in the All Star game. The best players really, Asia Wilson really didn't even play, So Nafisha Collier, she went off. And Skylar Diggins, shout out to South Bend, had a triple double. I thought she should have got the MVP or at least a share of it. But that was really difficult to watch. And I didn't want my daughters to watch that brand of basketball because I don't want them to be hoisting 3 point shots. I want them to be well rounded. So it was an ugly game to watch, Rob, and I'm glad you missed it.
And hearing you talk, I'm glad I missed it too. I don't understand why All Star games they feel like they gotta change what they would do on a regular in a regular game. I understand you don't want people getting hurt and that kind of thing, but still, I mean, it's you should still show the whole gamut of a basketball game, fundamentals, the whole 9 yards, man, so that people can see the whole complete game, not just a variation of it. And I don't tend to watch All Star games anymore, simply for that reason. It's just not fun to watch. It's too boring, too boring.
Yeah, I like the man, whether it's NBA All Star game, WNBA All Star game, I want to see the best play the best. I agree with what you said. Man, I don't tune in to watch 3 point shooting contests for the whole weekend. I want to
Right.
see the best players in the league compete against each other. And the NBA and WNBA has totally lost that. So it really sucks because I used to look forward to the All Star games. Not anymore, man.
Yeah, you remember how you were watching back, uh, you know, years ago, and if a certain player was on the court, he would get X amount of touches while he was in there, so you could see his game. And it just went around like that. And then second half, whoever was like balling out, they were sort of like either team was sort of like trying to get him the ball as much as possible so he could win the MVP. But during the game, you always seen if it was a guy who could dominate in the paint, if he was on the court, he was gonna get so many touches so he could, get off. Everybody had an opportunity to score some points. Now it's like it's just bombs away. And guys who don't have that in their arsenal, they just lost out there. They just basically running up and down the court or not even getting in the game,
Yeah, yeah,
which I think is not cool at all.
it's terrible, man. It's a bad product right now, and they definitely need to fix that because basketball is huge with our culture, and then I don't know what this is nowadays, man. It's terrible.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know who changed the mindset of the players not to go out there and play and competitively like it used to be. But whoever did that, uh, they sort of messed up some things for sure. Let's switch over to the NFL, and we see that T.J. Watt. We've talked about him the last couple of weeks about the Steelers with a signing. So he gets signed to a 3-year, $123 million contract. What's your thoughts on this contract? Would you have given him that much money for 3 years? Is he worth it? What's your thoughts?
Man, I think you have to. You got to give him that much money. Um, you talk about outside of Miles Garrett, probably the best pass rusher in the NFL. He definitely deserves that amount. I don't think the Steelers go very far if TJ Watt is not in a uniform this upcoming season. Um, you know, you get talking about a guy who tied Michael Strahan's sack record with 22 and a half. And his TJ Watts is probably more impressive because we remember Brett Favre taking a sack for Michael Strahan in order for him to get that record back in the day. So uh, I know Zay was saying maybe you should trade him and get more parts. Maybe they could have did that, but I think the Steelers is in a position where they trying to win right now, and I don't think getting rebuilding pieces or younger pieces will get you over the top, as opposed to having a T.J. Watt, who's a dominant pass rusher. Man, that was a lot of money they gave that man, and I hope he balls out and proves that he's worth every penny. So good for him. Good for the Steelers. And hopefully, with him on that defensive line and coming off the edge, they can win some ball games and possibly even win a playoff game this season.
Yeah, I, I'm glad that they signed him because I know that they need him, and he's a dominant force on that defense. The thing I was happy about was the fact that it's not some baseball contract that's 10 years, $500 million. They only signed him for 3 years. 3 years will go by so fast. You don't want to be tied up for years and years and years with a high contract with a guy that he might not be able to play that long, like you see them doing in baseball, or they might not be as productive for that amount of time, like you see in baseball. So I'm glad that it was a 3 year. I think he's worth every penny of it, and I'm glad that they got him signed. But like I said, my most impressive thing about it was the fact that it's only a 3 year contract. It's not going to tie up your money over a 6, 7, 8 year period when he may not be playing at that level after these 3 years.
Yeah, to your point, he is in his 30s and he's getting up there. So,
Yeah,
uh, yeah, that's a great point. So only 3 years, they'll squeeze every all the juice out of him. But great contract. Do you think the Steelers has made a lot of moves? Do you think they can compete this year? What do you think their ceiling is?
they're in a really tough division, man. When you got a Joe Burrow and the receivers that he has, and you got Lamar Jackson, and you got to pay. That's 4 games that you have to play against some really, really good quarterbacks. Cleveland always, for some odd reason, upset them every year and get a win over them. Oh man, Aaron Rodgers, I ain't totally sold on him. Even though they put some pieces around him, I still don't think they come in better than third in that division. I think they're gonna play hard, they're gonna be competitive, but I just don't see them, especially if Cincinnati can fix their defense, because they're gonna score some points. I think they'll probably come in second in that division. I think Baltimore will win it. So I can see the Steelers being in third, possibly being on the outside of a wild card. But I don't. I mean, all the moves they made, they needed to make in order to be relevant in that division. But I don't think it's enough. I really don't think it's enough.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
just
I don't think I'm with you. I don't think they'll win the division. I don't think they'll come in second. To come in second, that means Cincinnati's defense has to be really terrible, like terrible, like historically terrible.
yeah.
Um, that's the only way they could get second. But I think they'll be fighting for a wild card spot.
He said, "How concerned are you about Terry McLaren's contract situation and how the Commanders aren't moving more quickly than they should?"
Yeah, I think the Commanders. I don't think there's nothing there. I think they'll get McLaurin signed within these next few weeks, as we enter into the training camp days. But uh, the Commanders are moving slowly. But we just saw the Pittsburgh Steelers move slowly with T.J. Watt. But I think, Terry McLaurin is a cornerstone of that franchise. You need a wide receiver like that for Jaden Daniels. I don't think you need to worry. He'll be signed real soon.
Yeah, I agree. They are moving slow, of course, but they're going to sign him. They have to. I mean, you can't have a opportunity to win your division and make it a good run in the playoffs and possibly even go to the Super Bowl and not have one of your key pieces at wide receiver to help your quarterback. So I think they're going to get him signed too. They're just moving a little bit slow, but they'll get it done for sure. They'll get it done. Thanks for your question, by the way, Little C.
Oh yeah, keep them coming, my man.
Yeah, keep them coming. What's the issue between the Bengals and Shamar Stewart? What's going on with that whole situation? What's up with the language in his contract that he wants to be fixed? And why would you even, uh, what's going on with that? Just give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it'd been nice if Mossberg was here to speak on this. With the Bengals being his team, but I haven't really dug deep into the language of his contract. I just know what they sent to him and his lawyer, and they looked over it. It was like no dice, and they were very disappointed from what I've saw. And he's been talking about going back to college and possibly playing in another league. So whatever they had in that contract, Rob, he didn't like that at all. And I don't understand what the Bengals are doing this offseason. You got Joe Burrow, you got T. Higgins, you got Jamar Chase, you got Chase Brown, you got a heck of an offense. The window is open now. You need at least if you're gonna have a bad defense with a great offense, you at least need pass rushers. And I
Mhm.
just feel like they're dropping the ball on this one, man.
Yeah, I don't know everything about the language as well, but I do know that they didn't like the language that was in there, and they like, come on, you got and the Bengals are refusing to change the language. It's like, dude, you dropped the ball on Hendrickson. You had this guy retire. I mean, he's back, but still, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Don't you realize that defensive ends, pass rushers, edge guys, they do not come a dime a dozen, bro. Everybody doesn't have one of these dudes on their team. So if you got an opportunity, like you said, their window is right freaking now. You got to have guys on your defense who could put pressure on quarterbacks, can stop offenses from scoring points so that you can get the ball back into what is the most important part of your team, which is your quarterback and them receivers that you have. And I just don't understand the Bengals right now. They have beautiful fans who will pack that stadium as long as they're good and they're winning. And you don't want to go back to where you were before Joe Burrow because those stands, I was getting tickets for like next to nothing to go see the Bengals. And they don't want that again. So I think they need to go ahead and get whatever language that needs to be fixed, fix it. Keep this guy on your roster, have him playing this year because I think what they feel like is we got this guy in a between a rock and a hard place, and they figure like, oh, you gonna have to sign, otherwise you're gonna miss a whole year of football, or you're gonna go play some lesser level football, because he can't go back to college and play this year. That's
Mhm.
already done. He can re-enter the NFL draft next year, but you already know how these owners feel about that kind of stuff, man, they'll blackball you, and the next thing you know, you sitting at the crib forever. You know,
Yeah,
a regular old job. So he got to be careful. They got to work this thing out because I really do believe that he's going to be a really, really good NFL player, and hopefully they get that thing done. But right now, it looks like the Bengals they hold all the cards, really.
yeah. I mean, you're not going to be able to just outscore everybody every week and think that that's going to get you to another Super Bowl. You just can't do it. You can't do that in the NFL. Take it from a Colts fan who watched Peyton Manning have some great offenses. But at the end of the day, you're going to need some kind of balance. You're going to need the defense to make a big play for you. You're going to need that edge rusher to get off the edge and get a big strip sack and get a big turnover and give your offense another possession. You're going to need those things in the NFL. So it's really bewildering. I don't know what the Bengals are doing, man, and it sucks for Mossberg.
Yeah, definitely sucks for Mossberg. His Florida State Seminoles is going to be whacking. If his Bengals don't get it together, they're going to be the laughing stock of the NFL. Lucy has another question for us. Of course, what's your thoughts on Von Miller signing, and how do you think he will perform, especially when he is 37 but is still playing at a high level as one of the fastest off the line? What's your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, I saw Von Miller sign. He's getting up there in age, as my man just said, but he's still, and that's a very critical and great point you just made. He can still get off the ball with the best of them. Von Miller can get off the ball super fast, even at this age. Of course, he isn't the same Von Miller that played in Denver and won a Super Bowl, but coming in packages on third down, third and long, third and whatever, any passing situation, I would take Von Miller on my edge. Absolutely.
I mean, and why would you not want Von Miller in your locker room? This guy is going to help whoever you got up and coming from that position as well, to be able to teach them some of the tricks of the trade, teach them how to get off the ball fast like he does. I mean, I think in situations he's the perfect fit for you because he's not going to make mistakes. He's going to be able to diagnose whatever's going to take place on that play. He's going to be able to get to the quarterback. Now, of course, we know he's not the 25-year-old Von Miller, but he's going to be out there and he's going to be competitive. And you playing him in spurts. It's not like he's playing four downs, three downs. He's a guy that's going to be out there in situations, and I think that's a good move. And no organization is going to take a chance on a guy at 37 years old who they don't think can help them. So I'm happy for Von Miller. I would have liked to see him go back to the team that he started with so he can retire, as which he probably will end up doing. They'll probably sign him to a 10-day contract so he can retire. As who drafted him? The Denver Broncos? Is
Yep.
that who drafted him? Yeah, he'll probably go back and retire as a Denver Bronco. But I'm happy for Von Miller, and I think it's a good move because it can't hurt to have somebody like Von Miller in your locker room talking to your young people, helping them to get uh, good at that position. Are there any off-season moves you think will backfire on organizations? We talked about the Bengals, so that's one for sure.
Yeah, that's we just went over that. We feel like the Bengals are making some bad decisions, but that definitely could backfire. Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh could backfire on the simple fact that he's an older player. We know he's not the same Aaron Rodgers. Sometimes he could be a headache when it comes to dealing with the management of teams. So, but some of the players love him. Uh, so we'll see how that goes. That could potentially backfire. It could potentially be a great thing. Another move is the Texans. after giving up so many sacks, trading Laramie Tunsil to the Commanders, which was a great pickup for the Commanders. He was the bright spot of that offensive line, and that definitely could backfire and have my man running for his life if their offensive line doesn't pick up during OTAs or whatnot. So definitely the Texans trading Laramie Tussle could backfire. Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh could backfire. And we know what the Bengals are doing with their edge rushers could definitely backfire.
Yeah, I was staying in the division with Cincinnati as well with the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. It seems like they didn't go after anyone hard enough, in my opinion, and they it's like they was all in on Aaron Rodgers from the beginning, even though it didn't appear like it. It seemed like they were slow rolling it, or maybe Aaron Rodgers was the one slow rolling it, or maybe both of them. But anyway, I feel like if that does not work this year for the Steelers, where they gonna go going into next season? You can't bring Aaron Rodgers back to be your starting quarterback. What are you going to do? I thought that they would have done something else to safeguard themselves, either in the draft or uh, in free agency. They would have grabbed a different guy, but they didn't do that. I think they had a chance to draft a quarterback or two that if not going to be your starter this year, at least could have been able to hold the clipboard and learn from Aaron Rodgers, um, just on how to study the game and what you need to be looking forward to if they already knew they were going to get Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think they have a out game for when Aaron Rodgers isn't there next year because he got to be one and done. You can't bank on him for 2 years running your organization. I just don't think he has that in him.
So
I don't even think
you're
he
not
got
a
this year in him.
right. So you're not a fan of the Ohio State QB. Isn't that who they drafted late in the draft? Will Howard.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not high on Will Howard. If you look at Will Howard at Kansas State in comparison to Will Howard at Ohio State, he just had way more weapons at Ohio State in a system that they they um, they really schemed things up for him to be able to have the success that he had. I mean, I know the Ohio State fans think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but they got to understand that they were putting him in schemes that was going to make him successful. Whenever he needed to throw the ball and make a play in coverage, he was not able to do that.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are is going to backfire on a few teams, in my opinion, not taking Shador Sanders when they should have took him. So, and you ain't even have to pay a first round pick for him. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, yeah. Lil C wants to know: Do you think Justin Fields is going to get the Jets will backfire because of the Jets organization hasn't had any success for a very long time, and Justice Fields isn't into the best situation.
Uh, it could backfire. I don't know if it will though, because I know the Jets have been a mess, but I like the hiring of the Lions defensive coordinator. I think he could bring stability to that organization. I think having, the rapport with the wide receiver from Ohio State helps Justin Fields. So it could backfire. I wouldn't be surprised because it's the Jets, right? But I think, and I have to be shown this. It got to be proven, but I think hiring Aaron Glenn is a great move for that organization and a step in the right direction.
I, I'm 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 not a huge fan of Justin Fields. I like his legs. I do like his legs, but in terms of his arm and what they're going to need him to be able to do, It's almost like this young man has not. Um, I don't know if he hasn't gotten in the film room. Like you've seen Jalen Hurts improve. You've seen Lamar Jackson improve. I have not seen the improvements out of Justin Fields like I would expect to. And I thought when he went to the Bears that eventually he would be okay, but then I blamed it on the Bears organization. Maybe they didn't put the weapons around him that he needed. Now he's going to get a really good wide receiver and the guy he played with at Ohio State and Garrett Wilson, and I think he's going to have a good running game with Brees Hall. I ain't sold on Justin Fields. I think that this could backfire. I think he should have stayed at the Steelers. Myself, I think it's a better organization. They were going to put some pieces around him. I just think that Justin Fields is not ready. I hope he proves me wrong because I want him to have success, but I don't think that he's ready yet. He's not ready, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he definitely. You're right. His legs are. He's great when he's running. He has to be a better pocket passer, and if he can do that, which is a tall task because this is his third team now. You know, he was just with Pittsburgh last year and couldn't even beat out Russell Wilson, aging Russell Wilson. So, it like we said, it can potentially backfire. So we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. What's your thoughts on? I don't have a question in there, but what's your thoughts on? I know the SEC was thinking about having or instituting a rule called the defensive delay of game, where when the offense substitutes, you know how the defense will wait till the last minute to try to get the play clock down to force a team to have to use a timeout or to rush their play call. What's your thoughts on them instituting a delayed game on the defense if the defense hasn't started to make their adjustments 3 seconds after the offense have made theirs?
Hey, it is what it is. You got to be aware. And that's the players and the coaching staff, your defense coordinator, your head coach. You need to be aware of what the offense is doing at all times when you're on defense. And if you are not, then you're gonna pay a price for it. I used to see Peyton Manning do that. He was real good at that. Defense trying to substitute defensive players, and he'll hike the ball and get a penalty every time. He was a master at that. But hey, man, you gotta. That's the game. This is chess, not checkers. You gotta be aware of what the offense is doing when you're on defense, and you gotta move. So, I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, I think it's a rule that needs to be um, instituted as well, along with them looking at the fact that people are faking injuries to get the clock stopped and all that kind of stuff. I think you, as coaches, you're gonna live in a gray area, man. If there's a gray area you can live in, and you're a good coach, you're supposed to. You're supposed to live in a gray area, and we're starting to see a lot of those gray areas being looked at when it comes to rule changes, when it's coming to this NIL stuff. So I think that it's good that we got people out there that are trying to do everything they can to fix the game, to make the game as fair as possible. And I like the rule, and I hope that it gets instituted. I don't know if it's only going to be during SEC matchup games, or if the rest of the league is adopted or not. I never heard of one conference having different rules than everybody else. So I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. But we have to wait and see on that. Um, do you have any thoughts on the SEC media days that took place last week?
I really didn't get to catch the SECs like I did the Big 12, but I did hear Coach Sark speak. I did hear Manning speak. And from where I hear from you guys, you seem to be really confident. Obviously, I watched that because I'm a Manning fan. Peyton Manning was my team's quarterback for years, and I like the Mannings personally, but Arch Manning seems to be, focused and ready to shine. Steve Sarkeesian, it seems to be confident in the players. Even though he's lost a lot of players, he feels really good about the squad he has. So it's going to be exciting to see Texas in that SEC, Rob. And y'all got some heavyweight battles coming up, man, with Florida and Georgia. The rivalry with Oklahoma. So the SEC is going to be exciting, man. And if I'm a Texas fan like you are, Rob, I'm excited. So,
Yeah, I'm definitely very, very excited about what I think my Longhorns are going to be able to do this year. But I don't want anybody to make any mistakes about it. The SEC belongs to the Georgia Bulldogs until somebody can knock them off. So until Texas can beat them in the regular season and then possibly beat them if they meet in the SEC championship game, it's still Georgia's conference to win, man. And I think that they're going to be a really, really good contest for Texas this year in Athens. I think that Florida game is going to be really good as well. The Ohio State game, of course. I think there's a couple of games on their schedule that they're going to get to face some really, really good quarterbacks. They didn't play, didn't play really, really good quarterbacks last year. A lot of those guys were young in their first year, getting some playing time. But I think this year it could be totally, totally different uh, in terms of the competition they're going to play. But I think Texas is going to still be really, really good. They got all the pieces that they need. If they can stay healthy, they're definitely going to be one of the best teams in college football, like they have been the last two seasons.
oh, for sure.
Lil C wants to know, you think this is a make or break year for Trevor Lawrence's future in Jacksonville?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It should have been 2 years ago. Um, I just feel like, well, in his defense, they have been through a few coaches, over the last few years with Jacksonville. You need that continuity when you got a first round young quarterback, first overall coming into to an organization. But this is a make or break year for Trevor Lawrence. He's out of excuses. You got what's the receiver from Colorado? His name slips. From
Hunter, Travis
Hunt,
Hunter.
you got yeah, okay. You got Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas at wide receiver. Those are some athletic, fast, dynamic receivers. You got Britton Strange at tight end. You got a slew of running backs, starting with Trevor Etienne. So uh, Trevor Lawrence has no excuses this season. He has a lot of talent. He has to get the job done, and they keep giving him chance after chance. And I know he was banged up at the end of last season, but I would like to see Trevor Lawrence get it done this season and at least get have that team at 500, knocking on the door of a playoff at the very least, because there's no excuse with the talent they have in Jacksonville. Not a very good defense, but they got to show something on offense, and he got to show that he's that dude being the first overall pick in his draft class.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a make or break year for him. Even though Trevor Lawrence plays in the same conference that both of the NFL teams that we like are in, me being a Tennessee Titans fan and my man Postgame being an Indianapolis Colts fan, we're all in the same division. We definitely hope he's bad because we want to beat him. But at the same time, this man's career, we want him to be successful so that he can still continue his career, especially in Jacksonville, since that's where he started his career. But it is definitely make or break for him. He has got to make some things happen this season. He got to lead them to the playoffs. He gonna have a tough job dethroning the Houston Texans, though, in that organization. And he's gonna get competitive games from Tennessee and from um, Indianapolis. So it's gonna be a competitive division. They're gonna play hard, but he got to play better than what he has played. They got him some weapons, so hopefully he can do better and keep his job in there. Otherwise, he's gonna become a journeyman and be somebody's backup holding the clipboard in hopes that he can get a game or two every season. Kevin Thomas wants to know who's y'all's early Super Bowl predictions.
Man, wow. That's super early, my man. Um, Early Super Bowl predictions. Um, I'll take Baltimore out the AFC, and I will take. Mm, I'll take San Fran off the NFC. So early predictions: Baltimore, San Francisco.
I'm gonna tell you who I want to see there. I want to see my Tennessee Titans, but we know that's not gonna happen. But I think Baltimore, Buffalo, and Kansas City have a really good chance of being there. I'm not gonna bet any money against Patty Mahomes, man. But I think that Baltimore, this is their year to get him. I think Baltimore is gonna be there, and I really do believe that. And I don't even want to say it, but I think the Dallas Cowboys have a chance to possibly right the ship, man, and be there over Washington and Philadelphia. I really don't think Philadelphia is going to get back there again, but I can see Washington getting there, and I can see the Dallas Cowboys righting the ship and getting there as well. And our man Deswan Townsend's got Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, all Philadelphia Super Bowl. I know you're going with your Steelers, Dez, and I mean, we have to wait and see what Aaron Rodgers can do. I know they're gonna play real strong and real hard, but I don't know if they got all the pieces they need to actually make it to the Super Bowl over some teams like Baltimore, um, Buffalo, and Kansas City. But everybody's entitled to who they think will win it. Lil C is saying Washington and Baltimore Beltway Super Bowl matchup. Yeah, that would be dope, wouldn't it? They would
Yeah,
be
that's
rocking over there, boy.
that would be crazy.
He says storybook ending for Rodgers. I don't know how many people want to see him have a storybook ending that's not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Because I'm not a huge Rodgers fan, but I think at
Yeah,
one time he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But of course, I'm always hoping that he does good for y'all Steelers, though, because I like seeing my homies happy for sure.
yeah, that's a storybook. It could be, but storybooks have two endings, and one is bad.
Y'all got any, we coming up right up on the hour where we want to be. If y'all got any more questions out there, put them in the chat real quick, and we'll give you our answers to those. But if not, we're gonna get ready to wrap up the show. We appreciate everybody that's out there. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're really trying to grow our channel. We're right where we need to be in order for YouTube to show us some love. So please continue to support us, share our videos with your friends and family members. Also, we got other podcasts that we do. We got Post Games Podcast. You see him on the screen with me right now. Go look him up and subscribe to his channel. I got on my man FanDuel Zayas podcast t-shirt right here,
Dope,
right now. Go check
super
him
dope.
out. We got Blitzberg, our man Parlay Poe. He got his own podcast. Go subscribe to Blitzberg and our man Level Up Sports 10 Mossberg. He has his own podcast as well. So go subscribe to all of those. We should have them running across the screen at some point in one of our next videos. So hopefully we can put that out there to you. Des, we are all rooting for your nose to be good, man. Because when Florida State is good, college football is good. So we hope that they have a really successful season this year. Uh, Little C, which team is the sleeper this year? In the NFL sleeper, who you got post game?
Hmm, a sleeper in the NFL. Um, Now, see the reason why this question gets me is: are we talking a team that's going to come from nothing to be something, or are we talking a team that's not being picked very often to win a Super Bowl that has a chance to win a Super Bowl? If we talking about a team that's going to come from nothing to something, if they're healthy, I like my Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, if I had to pick one, I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals because they got all the. I know we've been talking about them quite a bit on today's show, but if they can get their defense together with the offensive weapons they have, them freaking Cincinnati Bengals can be tough, man. They can be tough. They can really be tough. KT, I'm gonna have to get out there with you on the bike, man. Me, you, Dez, all of us. We got to get out there. I didn't even put no air in my tires yet. I need to put some air in my tires, man, and make sure that it's ready to roll. I might need to drop it off at the bike shop and let my man Joe do a once over on it for me to make sure it's ready to roll. Cause I haven't touched my bike. Now I've been working out, but I ain't touched my bike yet, and I need to do that for sure.
That's some good work, KT.
This is a good question. Is there any chance Shamar Stewart gets traded?
Could he be traded?
I mean, if a team owns the rights to you, I guess they can always trade you. I mean, they could have made a trade during the draft. I'm quite sure if they own the rights to you, they can trade you.
I don't know. I'm not sure about the fine print when it comes to that. But Lil C, make sure you subscribe, man. We're gonna keep these conversations going. Subscribe to
Yeah.
all our channels.
If I'm a Cincinnati Bengals and I can get something worked out with him, I would definitely be willing to try to find some edge rusher on another team who has not signed a contract yet to possibly see if they're willing to trade him or find a veteran guy out there that that still got something in the tank to try to get something for him. I don't want this guy to have to sit out, and I done drafted him. So I think that they definitely need to make something happen with Shamar Stewart, whether they trade him or they get this deal done with him and change the language in his contract. But they Cincinnati really holds all the cards because the reality is they done drafted him. He can't go back and play college football. He can re-enter the draft next year, but he don't know what's going to happen with that. You'll mess around and be a seventh round draft pick doing that mess. So we know how them owners can do you if they feel like you might be somebody that's going to be a thorn in their side. So I think anything can happen at this point. Hopefully, he gets on the field for the Cincinnati Bengals because they could really use a guy on the edge, especially since they ain't showing Hendrickson no love. Well, my man Post Game, I appreciate you joining us this morning. We appreciate everybody out there in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button. That's the thumbs up button. So when we end this stream, we know that we got at least 9, 10 thumbs ups out there. We appreciate everybody joining us this morning. We will be back again probably on Monday or Wednesday for sure to do an Ohio State preview. We'll definitely be back Tuesday night at 7:45. We're going to be doing our SEC schedule with their top six teams. And then on Thursday, we're going to do the Big Ten, their top six teams, and their schedule, and what we think their over and under will be if they're going to meet their over and under when it comes to wins and losses. So hopefully you can join us again on Tuesday and Thursday at 7:45 and be on the lookout for our Ohio State preview with our man FanDuel Zaya and T1 of City League TV. So make sure you tune into that. We appreciate you, Daz, joining us. We're going to have you on the show here soon. Definitely when we do our Florida State preview, when Mossberg does it, we would love to have you on the screen with us as well. so that you can share your thoughts about it as well. But since we don't have anything else, we're gonna go ahead and end our show, and we'll see you again. Make sure you be on the lookout for when we post when we're gonna be on next. All right, post game. Peace, bro. I appreciate you.
All right, bro.